What increased India's economic development? Who brought in the engine of globalization? What gave us other jobs rather than farming? Yes, it's industrialization, a term we all are familiar with, but we don't know its actual side. Before we start, let us know what industrialization is. It is the period of social and economic change that transforms a human group to an industrial society from an agrarian society, involving the extensive manufacturing reorganization of an economy. Before the Industrial Revolution, village life was the dominant way of life. Most villagers were farmers, and most countries' economies were based on agriculture. Products were made via the cottage industry, a very slow process where manufacturing was carried out in people's homes. This process of Industrial Revolution began in Britain in the 18th century and from there spread to other parts of the world. Although used earlier by French writers, the term Industrial Revolution was first popularized by English economic historian Arya to describe Britain's economic development from 1760 to 1840. And as time went by, this concept got all over the world, including India. The Industrial Revolution entered India in 1854 when Bombay opened its first steam-powered cotton mill in Asia. Initially, the growth was slow, and the expansion of these modernized cotton mills was not done until the 1870s and 1880s. India now is the world's sixth largest economy. There were four major innovations that led to this revolution. First, the spinning jenny. The spinning jenny was invented by James Hargreaves. At the time, cotton production could not keep up with demand. This machine spun many threads at the same time, thus reducing the amount of work needed to produce yarn. In other words, it produced yarn a lot quicker. The modern steam engine. The steam engine was improved by James Watt. It could be used to run many different types of machinery. By 1850s, most factories were powered with steam engine. Next comes the cotton gin. It was invented by L.A. Whitney to mechanize the cleaning of cotton. This machine quickly and easily separates the cotton fibers from the seeds, a job previously done by hand. And lastly, the process for manufacturing steel. It is a major process and evolution that led to revolution because it includes metals. Henry Bismarck's process helped to turn iron into steel faster and more efficiently. This process lowered the cost of steel production. Steel was used for the production of machinery and railways, which led to an increase of transportation and trade. This was all about the history, but what about the current impacts? Just like every coin, it has two sides. The Industrial Revolution is a transition from an agriculture to an industrial and causes a huge change in the economy, society, and politics of the world. During the revolution period, most economic systems were changing. For example, the factory system replaced the domestic system. Besides, many new foreign markets were opened at that time, and the standard of living also increased. Most people were moving from villages to cities. But the Industrial Revolution also brought some negative effect on the earth like environment pollution. This is because Industrial Revolution increased the use of metal. Metal, just like now, was the hero. Mining and mining of metal ores coupled with industries have rapidly escalated the metal waste in soils, waters and landfills. The most common heavy metals found at contaminated sites in order of abundance are lead, chromium, arsenic, zinc, copper and mercury. The factories dispose their metal waste in water and soil, resulting in harming the organisms living inside it. Other waste is disposed in landfills, again increasing the pollution and methane gas production and thus affecting our environment. All of you must be wondering, can you do anything to improve this? Yes, every problem has a solution. And this problem has some simplest and common solutions of applying 3 R's and sustainable mining practices. Starting with reducing, it is the best way to go out managing solid waste. Its theory is quite simple. The less you use, the less waste you'll produce. If there's less waste, then there's less to recycle or reuse. The factory should aim for reducing the metal waste by using every possible aspect of the metal in the industry. The second R is for reuse. This one is becoming more and more popular with the surge of upcycling and craft projects all over the web. If you reuse something as opposed to throwing it away, you keep waste out of landfills. Instead of throwing away the metal waste, industrialists should think of reusing them to create something brand new. And even as consumers, we should not throw away a tin once it is empty. Why not make something creative and useful out of it? The final and probably the best known R stands for recycling. As you probably know, recycling is the process of remanufacturing a product to be sold as new. Factories should properly accumulate the metal waste and give it to other metal recycling industries which will recycle the metals to create daily objects and energy. These 3 R's are the waste hierarchy to reduce metal waste. But wait, there's one more thing. Sustainable mining. We all have this question, can mining ever be sustainable? If we can design products that can retrieve minerals in usable form with relatively low energy expenditure and restorable environmental impacts, then mining is indeed sustainable. Industries and mining companies should always aim for sustainable theory of mining. To conclude, according to my opinion, we could neither agree or disagree the existence of Industrial Revolution. While Industrial Revolution has led an industrial world to positive changes, there is no doubt that it also brings harm to us. We could only conclude that the Industrial Revolution has brought great contributions and also destruction at the same time in every aspect. But following sustainable practices in ways I mentioned before could surely help us reduce the impact. Let us all contribute together and be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you.